Welcome back to week 3 of our religious education program for St. Louis the King. Glad to have you. Thanks for joining us. This week's theme is church family, church community. And before we begin, I just want to mention the 3 states of our church: church triumphant, church militant, and church penitent or church suffering. Church triumphant is, where do you think? Well, it's the church in heaven, the Holy Trinity, the saints and angels, and all those who have reached perfection in Christ, all of our loved ones who have died. The church militant is us down here on earth, living the gospel and hoping to reach the church triumphant, helping others to get there. And the church suffering or church penitent are those in purgatory being purified, waiting to reach their ultimate goal of heaven with the church triumphant. And I'm going to encourage you to go to the website on the bottom here and read about those 3 states of church. And here's a few of our beloved church members talking to you a little bit about church community.
Nancy Holdwick, thank you for joining us tonight. We at St. Louis the King know just how important you are to our community, and probably a lot of people don't realize how much you do and how much time you spend there. But I've seen it, and so I was wondering what the St. Louis community means to you.
Okay, the St. Louis community has been an integral part of my life ever since I joined in August of 1977. But prior to that, church to me, my church family began at my birth. And I was born at St. Joseph's Hospital in Flint, Michigan. And on the back of my birth certificate, it says, "Where angels tread."
Mm-hmm.
God has given life again and blessed a soul so sweet. May the guardian angels ever guide those tiny little feet. My feet have grown, and so have my responsibilities in the church. And so I want to tell you a little bit about how my faith has grown and where it led me to St. Louis. I was baptized a bit 17 days later at St. Agnes Church. And one of my baptismal sponsors was my Uncle Junior, who later became Father Frank. So I had a very good sponsor who made sure I stayed in the Catholic faith. We moved to Sheboygan, Michigan, and on our way to church each Sunday, we would pick up my mother's family, my father's family, and so when we arrived at St. Mary's, we were the church family. There were a number of us. I continued there for my elementary school, my high school, and the Catholic school. And we always went to daily mass, and that meant a lot to me, giving thanks each day and receiving Jesus in the Eucharist. And then I went on to a Catholic college, all girls school, We had daily prayer and daily mass there too, so Eucharist, again, was a very integral part of my life. After graduation, I returned to the St. Mary's Church, where in front of that same family, with a few additional cousins by that time, I was married to Dan. In our first years of marriage, though, we attended church, but never felt part of a family. My first parish, I taught a preschool class, and then in my second parish, we had neighborhood CCD, but we never felt part of a community. So when we moved to Marquette, we decided we would look around for a parish where we found a family parish. And we found that at St. Louis the King. And when I registered with Father Kalari, he signed me up on the spot to teach 4th grade CCD with him. And at the first CCD teacher meeting, I met the Mohars and the Delocious, and I never felt more welcome in all my life. My involvement began there, and it's continued to this day. First, I taught that 3rd grade class with him, or 4th grade, whatever it was then. Then I taught 2nd grade, both here and at the Catholic school, and that's when I really felt my calling, because there I felt the joy when each of those students received their first communion. I prepared them to receive Jesus for the first time. I'll never forget the little blind student who no one ever thought he had the intelligence to receive Jesus. And yet, when the priest out at Sacred Heart in Munising it was introduced to him and asked him what it meant to receive his first communion, he explained it so well. The priest let him do it the next day, and I was so disappointed I couldn't be there. So now when I see the children who I had seen baptized receive their first communion, tears come to my eyes. Children like Tim and Ben and Marie and Will. Tears come to my eyes when I see them receive their first communion. Well, when Father Gauthier was here, he asked me to start doing the scheduling. But Gordon Johnson became a team effort, and he said, put us on teams like we do for bingo. So that's kind of how we do it here. He also appointed Lynn Hicks and I to be the volunteer youth directors, and we had so much fun taking students on field trips, and we'd go camping, and we went to Steubenville, the real Steubenville, on a trip. We took students there that are now our young adult leaders in our parish, and now they have children, and their children have children, and I just witness all the faith-filled students that continue throughout. But Father Ben got me involved in the baptismal ceremonies, and I started to help out with the baptisms, and I would prepare the certificates, and then I would be present for the baptisms, and so I would welcome each of those little children into our parish family, and as I later said, some of them I'd later see make their first communion, and I just pray for them that no matter where they go, here or St. Louis or Timbuktu, that they continue to be faithful Catholics.
Nance, I think some of those babies you kind of got in the door, because I've seen you standing, at the door, and oh, look at this beautiful baby. Has he been baptized yet? I've definitely heard you say that a couple times.
I do encourage people to do that, and I know some of them have had their babies baptized at a different parish, and that happens sometimes. They go back. But, I encourage everybody to have their baby baptized.
For sure.
I'm a little pushy.
It's done with love.
But I really think that church family, you have to become an active part. You have to become involved. The more involved you are, the more you feel closer to the church. I miss my church family right now because of the pandemic, but I pray for each and every one of them. I enjoy watching the online videos because as each one goes to receive communion, I pray for each one, hoping I still recognize them. Some I do, some I don't with the mask. But the Eucharist is a major part of the church family. It's the center. And from the time I was born until I die, it will be the Eucharist. That will be the major part. It's in every parish I've been, it's been the Eucharist has been the central part. Church family, yes, St. Louis the King. We love our parish.
I think it's beautiful that you say how much you pray for the people at the church, because I don't think everybody understands that, how much prayer is coming through that parish.
Well, when I was a Eucharistic minister, I don't think they understand that as I gave communion to that person, I became a part of that communion with that person.
Yeah.
And that's why communion means so much to me. It's a togetherness.
Yeah.
And that's why that ministry of Eucharistic, being a Eucharistic minister means
Father Glenn says a common union. And I like that. Yeah. Communion.
Yes.
A common union. Yeah.
Right.
So you're kind of joining with them
I
in
love
that.
that.
I love
Yes. I just, through the Eucharist, feel like I'm in communion with my parish family.
Yeah. I also love how you say that your church family started at home, because I think that's happening now with this pandemic. A lot of people now have their little domestic church at home, and I love how you started there. Yeah, and the love for Jesus happened at home, and that's where it should happen.
Right.
Yeah, that's really where faith formation should be happening.
Right. When we moved here, it was because of our children. They were 4, 7, and 9.5 when we moved to Marquette. And we needed a good faith formation program for them. And that's why when Lynn and I became youth directors, our children were high school age at that time, and Father Gothier wanted something for the high school age children and was willing to spend a lot of money to provide programs for them. And so Lynn and I picked out, and we did it, and we had fun. We put in a lot of time, but we had fun. We'd have volleyball tournaments with Prince of Peace. They had a very active youth group, and just small little things that worked. I like the Eucharist. It's the center part of our.
Yeah, the source and summit. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Giving thanks to the Lord always.
They devoted themselves to the teaching of the apostles and the communal life of the breaking of the bread and the prayers. All who believed were together and had all things in common. Every day they devoted themselves to meeting together in the temple area and breaking bread in their homes.
Hello, my name is Paul, and you all might know me from church on Sunday, but I've also really enjoyed being a faith formation teacher for many of the younger students in junior high, and I was asked to come tonight and talk a little bit about what the church means to me. And one of the most important things that it means to me is that the church isn't just the building or the grounds, but it's really the people. And I've been so blessed since I came back to, this is really my home parish, the first parish that I've had to enroll in outside of my parents' home when I moved away. And so many years later, coming back, it's like coming home. But the best part was meeting all the people that were here and the warmth that they welcomed me with, and encouraged me to become involved. So one of the greatest joys I've had the last few years of my life was the privilege of teaching faith formation to the middle schoolers. And through that process, I realized how little I really knew about my own faith. So it gave me an opportunity to really dig in and start to learn even about the order of the Bible and how it's laid out. And I started by really studying the New Testament. And whatever the topic was that I was supposed to teach on that Sunday, it always turned into something else. And whatever the Holy Spirit seemed to want me to talk about, that's what came out. And mostly it was from questions from the kids. So I also want to thank the parents for letting the kids come into my class. That's been really special.
So, Paul, we know at St. Louis the King what you mean to us. You're part of the garden club, and I know that you're praying for the kids and the families, and you're a catechist. But what does St. Louis the King church community mean to you and in your life?
Oh, wow. What a great question. Thanks for asking. It means so much to me. You know, we all have hardships in our life, and having gone through some, I knew that I needed to come back to church. And when I came back here, I realized that my thought first was I knew the building because that was my context, was that going to church meant going to St. Louis. And I knew they had a nice big new church, and it was octagon shaped. But when I got here, and everybody was so welcoming, including you, and then all the parishioners, and Father Glenn has been such a welcoming priest for me, and then meeting people in the garden club, and through faith formation and the children. I'm kind of missing all my kids now that they're growing up and getting older, so to be blessed with being able to have a room full of kids to try to maybe do it a little better the second time around. So I really feel like it's been a welcoming family, and especially when there's so many troubles in the outside world, at the job, and the insurance bills, and the car repairs, and all that stuff. You're just so burdened with life's challenges all the time, and especially as the kids get older. I thought it was going to get easier once they were out of diapers, but it keeps magnifying, and I hear it continues to do that. But coming to church where there's like-minded people that are all faith-focused, and the Spirit of God is with them, it's meant the world to me. And so much so that I think before I changed my way of thinking, it was more of I won't say a burden, but it was like, oh, it's like an obligation. I had to get to church on Sunday. I knew that. But since I moved back to Harvey, I look forward to it. I've structured my life so I don't miss church. And when I say church, I mean I can't wait to see the people. So for the last 6 years, it's become the highlight of my life. And again, it's just the people that are here, and then the extracurricular activities. Even though we're planting flowers or a garden, it's still something special about it being holy. Place that I feel God is really at, and the Holy Spirit's here. So
So you feel like church is not just the building, but the people.
exactly. But yes, definitely it's the people. And
So as we talk and you say it's the people, I'm also thinking about how awesome our Catholic tradition is, because it's not just us here, but then the saints, and our angels. So, it's really a community, right?
it is. I get shivers
it's
thinking
like-
about it.
Yeah.
I was telling you earlier that I have a good friend that's really involved in his church, which isn't Catholic, and we talk about our experiences, and he's very involved in the music end of it. And he said one time, he said, Paul, I worry sometimes it's just all about the show. And I thought how special it was to be in the Catholic Church, because I love the music. I love Larry's music. That's my favorite, and it really uplifts me and all. But to have that depth of the Eucharist and the second half of our Mass, I think that's what some of our Protestant friends are missing out on. They have the Word and the music, of course, and then it's done, and they're missing that fullness of the Eucharist and the body of Jesus Christ, and it is so special. I wish people could maybe understand it a little better and appreciate it more. But so one of the sad things this year, I guess, is that with COVID and the changes that have taken place, we're not going to have that traditional structure of a classroom and put the books out and everybody sit around the table. So it's going to be this new format where it's going to be more in your home. And I know that that of all anything bad that happens, that God has a good intent somewhere in there. He'll make something good come of that. And so as I've been thinking about this, I was saddened by the fact that I wouldn't be able to teach the kids. But then I thought, this new format is so much more special, because it's going to be an opportunity for the parents and the families to come together in their own mini church community. And that family is the nucleus of the church community and the church family. So you're going to have an opportunity to gather around your kitchen table or your living room with your children and pray together and study together. And maybe it's only once a week, but I want everyone to know what a wonderful opportunity that is. And I wish when my 5 children were younger, we prayed and we went to church and we did bedtime stories and all that, but we never really formally sat around and did a faith formation study as a family in the home. So I'm just thinking this is going to be such a wonderful thing. If you're in a situation right now where you still have young kids at home and you get that wonderful opportunity to sit around the table and study about your faith together, be that parent that the children look up to, and they so much will learn by example. That's just so rich. Nothing else matters. All the money, cars, power, jobs, fishing, hunting, none of it matters. And the most important thing I can guarantee is not even that many years from now, 15, 20 years from now, you look back and you'll be so happy if you really embrace this opportunity. This is going to be one of the greatest things of the COVID experience, I think, is this family faith formation. So
And when COVID is over, there's so much opportunity at this parish
Oh,
to get involved.
yes, and
Yeah.
there'll be that day.
Yeah.
Like Father said during Easter, Friday's here, but Sunday's a coming.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have such a great recovery, and I'm already seeing it. People really wanna come back, but if we ever get past the point where we have to wear masks and, social distance, we're not meant to social distance, we're meant to social closeness. And even now there's opportunity, but, it's gonna be a long, cold winter, but I see this by the spring, I think all of us, we're gonna learn to live with whatever it is that we have to live with, and, it's gonna be this magical recovery and this great rebound, and right now is that foundation. It's a great time for the families to, sort of hunker down, and I just had a thought. I would bet you that if the first few times the families get together, I know my kids would have been like, oh God, we gotta do this again. But a couple times after, they're gonna be looking forward to it, like, aren't we doing faith formation tonight, Dad? So especially for the dads, sometimes it's awkward for the dads to sit down in that role of faith leader of the family. I know it was for me. It didn't come naturally, and even if it doesn't, just kind of force yourself to do it and be the example, and don't be afraid to say, I don't know. So I really hope everybody takes this opportunity and builds on it and use it for your own knowledge, but also just to create that warmth and a memory that you'll have forever and ever, and it'll be a wonderful thing.
Just a few reminders. Please pick up a Catholic Traditions and Treasures book located on the counter outside the Faith Formation office. These are free to everyone, thanks to a Legacy of Faith grant from the Diocese of Marquette. Also a reminder to register online at sltkchurch.org under online forms. And another reminder is to subscribe to the YouTube channel for frequent updates.
Thank you to Milena for sharing the picture of her angel cookies from week 1. If you have pictures or movies you'd like to share from previous weeks, please get those to us, and we'll put your smiling faces up on our religious ed video.
And then thank you again for joining us. Have a blessed week.